Oh, thank you.
And so, I want you to see.
No way! That is awesome!
I'm so excited for this week's Replicake It. A good friend of mine, Jose Castillo, wrote a children's book. It's called Make Your Mark. I'll have him tell you some about that in just a little bit. And I've got my hands on a sample of his book because we're going to be doing some cookies for his book release event. So I thought it's the perfect opportunity to surprise him with his book made out of cake. So this is a perfect opportunity for a Replicake It. And so my first concern getting my hands on this book is how thin it is. It's going to be really hard to find somewhere to put cake into this book. And I love a challenge, so this is going to be a lot of fun. So after thinking about this for a little bit, I know I can't do the book close because there's really nowhere for cake. So I think that I can stand the book up and open the pages so that it's wide, and that'll give me some area inside to put the cake. So I'm really excited, never done this before, but I think it's going to be amazing. And let's get started on this cake. Now that I've decided the best way to get cake into this book cake, I'm excited to get this cake started. So I've started with a layer of chocolate cake that I have trimmed down to about 1.5 inches thick. And using a serrated knife, I'm going to cut that at an angle so that it's tapered off on one end. This will just allow us to have a more open book effect when decorating this cake. And so I've removed the piece that I cut off the top, and now I'm putting a thin layer of buttercream. Once I get this buttercream thinned out, I can lay that piece back on top, facing the other direction so that it's even thicker on one end and thin on that end that's next to the spine of the book. So I'm really excited to do this book cake. It's so neat to know someone in our local community that has written a book, and it's so beautifully illustrated and just altogether a great book. Did you know that the first illustrated book was published in 1461? So it's a really long time ago. It's really cool. And so I'm just taking that buttercream and thinning it out, making sure this has all got a nice cover on it and some nice crisp edges. We want to make sure this is perfectly proportional, that way that our book comes together nicely. Once we have that chilled, we can then roll out some white fondant and place this on top. Choosing to use fondant for this cake, that way that when I go in and paint on this using a watercolor effect, that it will come out a little bit nicer than if I were doing it on something like modeling chocolate. So rolled that fondant out, laid our chilled cake on top of it, and then folded that over just like a cover of a book would be. This just helps add to that realism effect that we're really going for. Once we get that on there and arrange exactly how we want it, we can go in with a sculpting tool and add some little edges along the spine of the book and some little indentations. Just add some more of that realism. And now we can start doing a little bit of the painting. And so to start out, I'm just going to do a little light airbrushing over this just to add a base coat for the background of the cake. And so just using a little bit of yellow, I came in with a little bluish purple with a little bit of black to do this gray that's on the base of the cake. And then just a little yellow on the bottom and the top, very lightly on there, just to add a great sidewalk and background fade like the book has. Now that we have that background done, my favorite part, which is going to be painting this in. And so this is a lot of fun, just using some food color that's been watered down with some vodka and I can go in and add layers and let this come out. And while I do this, I want Jose to tell you just a little bit about his book. So Jose, tell us about this book you've written.
So this is the Make Your Mark book, and it is a story of a little girl, an artist, and a wall in a downtown. And it tells the story of 4 unsung heroes in downtown Johnson City. And then it also tells the story of a little girl who gets to make her mark on this world. And she is viewing the stories of these other 4 heroes and wondering kind of where her place is in all of this. And so, not to spoil it, but at the end, she gets a chance to make her mark as part of this mural that the artist has drawn. And that's my hope, is that kids will read this and not only paint themselves into the book, because there's a spot right here where you can draw yourself in the book, but also that they find a place in this world to make their mark, because everybody has a gift, a talent, something they need to share with the world. And that's my hope, is that everybody gets a chance to make their mark. So check it out. You can go to thinkflavor.com/makeyourmark and find out more information about the book. It's available on Amazon or here at Reclaimed Inspired Goods in downtown Johnson City. So thank you so much, and I hope that you make your mark.
Thank you so much, Jose. I really hope you take the time to go and get this book. It is very well written. It's a great book. It tells a great story. And I'm so happy to have this book in our community. Go pick that up. You will not be disappointed. And so the next thing I had to do to finish this cake off, now that that cover is all painted, is to add the pages. And so I found the best way to do this is if I rolled out some fondant really thin, as thin as I could get it, almost see-through, and then cut it into an L shape. I let that dry a little bit just so it's nice and firm when handling that. Cut that into the L shape. That way I can slide that right over the cake that's on the inside. This gave a great effect, and I was so happy with how it turned out. It's something I had never done before, and it just gives a great illusion that it is pages and that there isn't cake, but we know there's cake on the inside, so that was really cool. So glad to have this cake fully completed. Now I'm going to take it over to Reclaimed Goods, where Jose is going to be hosting his book signing and release. And so let's take this over and set it up at Reclaimed Goods.
What's going on?
You got your books?
I do. We got some here.
So you know that we do this new Replicake thing, right?
Yeah.
We're replicating something from the area. And so this week we wanted to do your book because today's your book signing.
Thank you.
And so I want you to see it.
No way! That is awesome! Look, this is exactly, literally, I have the books right here. Look at that. That is perfect. Oh, man, dude, you're so awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hey, thank you, Cakebuds, for making me a book cake for my book launch party. Kind of hungry. All right.
Do you have a suggestion of what our next Replicake should be? If so, email us at cake.buds@yahoo.com with the subject line, Replicate This. We can't wait to hear your suggestions, and don't forget to subscribe.